Richician.
Welcome back, and welcome to part 5, the penultimate part. So let's kick things off with number 20, Invokes. Yeah, doesn't matter what variant it is, I just hate Invokes because Mechaba and Invocation exist. Like Invocation just cheaply banishing monsters from my graveyard for their fusion purposes, but that's not as annoying as just Mechaba existing and just negating my deck. And like I said before, not only does it negates and banishes, which is just cheap. You just know you're going to be in for a world of hurt as soon as they go normal summon Alistair. Like, literally, all they ever do is go Alistair, search Invocation, change it into Almirage, change that into Secure Gardener, Invocation, fuse them together, make Mechaba, and just sit behind it and just get a free win. Like, anything else they do is just insult to injury, like especially when combined with Dogmaticas. Shame really, because the archetype is based off the Final Fantasy games, like I said before, but Mechaba just makes the idea of playing them myself off-putting. Like that fucker is the problem card, always has been, always will be, and like it's just basically their cheap auto win button, regardless of what else they do. Fuck Mechaba. Like, that's all there is, really. Number 19, Cyber Dragon. Yet another GX archetype that has been ruined for me, and the whole archetype has been ruined for me by one card and one card only. Cyber Dragon Infinity. Like, with that card around, it might as well just basically be Infinity deck. Just going for this card and stopping anyone from doing anything is just all they ever do. Like, it's just basically their auto win button, and more often than not it's just game over when that bastard comes out. Like, they just do that if they go first, and if they go second they still bring it out, but also bring out Sega and Rampage and just use and abuse them for OTK purposes. Like that's literally all they ever do. Like, no one ever plays them the old-fashioned way anymore, focusing on the overwhelming power of Cyber Twin and Cyber End Dragon, the original fusions, which is pretty sad, because to be fair, I do like Cyber Twin and Cyber End, and now obviously I do like Cyber Dragon itself, because it's one of my top 10 favourite machines. It's a cool, iconic GX card, but I just hate what the deck has become. Like, just basically Infinity deck. Like, it's just bullshit and no fun to play against anymore. Like, what's the point if, like, it just does nothing but things that don't let anyone play the game? Like I'm so fed up of Infinity. Like, yeah, if it was banned or it just didn't exist at all, I wouldn't have a problem with Cyber Dragons, and it's a deck that I would happily play myself. Yeah, it is what it is. Number 18, Prankin. Infernoids. Like, they're so fucking annoying. Like, all they ever do is either OTK or disrupt my plays. Like it's an archetype that just exists just to annoy people. Like, I'm not even that bothered about the burn effect that Lampsies does. It's like, if I'm not getting OTK'd, then my monsters are being wiped by Battle Butler, or my back row's getting wiped by Rip-Roaring Roaster, or of course this stupid trap card weakens my monsters, like when I'm trying to make a comeback or push the game, and then I just get outright denied. Oh yeah, and it can turn 2 copies of Dropsies into totally arsehole, which is just insult to bloody injury. Like, either way, it does too many things that don't let anyone play the game, and I'm just sick and tired of prank kids. They're just infuriating. Oh yeah, and because of Dropsies, they've even been banned from endurances. Because Dropsies just gives the card holder far too many life points, which gives them too much of an unfair advantage and makes it harder for the deck to get knocked out and harder for other people to just get through and maybe even win the whole thing. Yeah, that's all there is. Number 17, Trickstars. Yep, you were probably expecting this to be on the list, but yeah. There are not enough words to describe how much I fucking hate Trickstars. Like, I really do. Like, literally, all they ever do is OTK with cheap burn cards. Like, basically, Light Stage, Dark Ruler no more, and multiple copies of Lycoris and Reincarnation equals game over, turn 1. And ever since that was done to me during my first encounter, I've hated Trickstars ever since. Like, such a stupid, degenerate, bullshit, unfair deck. Like, they're no better than generic burn decks. Like, it's such an annoying, cheap, easy win deck. Like, regardless of whether Light Stage is a 3, 2, or 1. I mean, really, like, it's fucking Lycoris and Reincarnation. Those 2 cards are the problem cards, and I hate that nothing was done about them. Like Lycoris, like multiple copies of Lycoris just stack onto one Trickstar monster on the field, let's say Candina, and all 3 of them come out. Like, how is that fair? Like, that could have at least been made a hard once per turn effect. Like, come on now. And the burn effect isn't an activated effect for some reason, which makes no fucking sense, because, like, based on the way it's worded, it does kinda sound like it's an effect that activates, and yet it doesn't, which means there's no way to negate it. Like, well, unless of course you preemptively activate Skill Drain or Fiendish Chain like some point beforehand. And as for Reincarnation, well, while it doesn't have a burn effect of its own, it doesn't matter, considering it's always used in combination with Lycoris. And it's a cheap shot banish card, just getting rid of my hand just like that, and I can't get that hand back. Because obviously the banished zone is less accessible than the graveyard. Like, it's even worse than card destruction and morphing jar. infuriating. Like, this is one of the reasons why I quit tournaments in the past. Like, that's how much they pissed me off. Like, well, more specifically, it was the 5th time where I quit because of Trickstars and Pendulum Magicians. Like, yeah, they just really pissed me off so much. Number 16, Infernoids. Like, this deck is infuriating. It really is. Like, it's basically an OTK deck with cheap shot banish cards and their boss monsters on the gates. Like, it's fucking bullshit. Like, they do too many things to stop anyone from being able to play. Like, they gain too much random advantage, it's too easy to OTK, and it's just basically like playing against an OTK version of Macro, like, which I might as well be playing against. Yeah, they're just too easy to bring out and just ruin my day and banish everything I have, or near enough everything. Now, I do like the concept of an archetype with nothing but nommies and semi-nommies, but I just don't like what Infernoids do. Like, they just really piss me off. And hardly anything's been done about them. Right, yeah, Grass got banned, Reasoning got limited. I can't even remember if Monster Gate is at 1 or we can play 3 of it, but either way, it just doesn't make a lick of difference. They just come out and just stop me from being able to play. It's fucking bullshit. Like, there was even one time where I even sided Chaos Hunter and Imperial Iron Wall against them, just to shut that deck down, and I still somehow lost. Like, I can't even remember how that happened, but I think it was because of bloody Decatron. It just outright gets round those cards by copying Patrulia and that other Infernoid monster, like on separate turns, that is. I know there's one that pops a monster, another that pops a back row. Yeah, that was just insult to injury, just countering my counters. Yeah, fuck Infernoids and everything they stand for. Number 15. Any burn deck that just stalls and uses cheap generic burn cards to win. Like, doesn't matter which one, so like, it's basically a tie between Mystic Mind burn, Chain burn, Bad Reaction burn, Nurse burn, like, or just any generic burn deck that stalls and burns. Like it's, these are the worst troll decks in the game. Like, definitely the most infuriating ones. Like, they only exist just to piss everyone off. Like, it's just hard for me to have respect for anyone who plays these decks. Like, they just seem to only care about winning or pissing everyone else off rather than playing for the fun of it. Like that's what it seems like. I mean, why else would you play a stally burn deck? Like, nobody plays them for fun, and regardless, they just ruin the fun of the game for everyone else. Like, it's just bullshit and completely unfair. Like, these decks just shouldn't even be allowed in the game. It's just laughable that even Chainburn players think they can justify their bullshit by saying, oh, why does everyone hate Chainburn? It's a skilled deck. That's one of the best jokes I've ever heard. Chainburn? Skilled? Do me a favour. Like, no Storly Burn deck of any kind is a skilled deck. Like, anyone can chain a bunch of cards that do some burn damage. Like, they're autopilot decks. Like, no, I'm sorry, but just nothing can justify the existence of Storly Burn decks. Like, especially Mystic Mind Burn. Like, Mystic Mind just needs to die in a fire. Number 14, Sword Soul, one of the top decks in the meta, at least at the time of recording. Yeah, Sword Soul is just annoyingly overpowered. Like, they spam out overpowered synchros, which just stop me from doing something and inflict 1200 points of damage. And of course, it's too easy for them to go into my most hated synchro monster, Baron de Fleur. And of course, they just do some OTK bullshit as well. Yeah. Just so infuriating. I mean, and it's one of the reasons why I just stopped playing in tournaments for good. I mean, there were other reasons, but Sword Soul existing and Baron de Fleur existing is just one of them. And yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. Like, I haven't even encountered Sword Soul that much, but even so, I've encountered it enough. I've heard the horror stories. And they're just bullshit from what I've seen. Number 13, Zombie Horde. Like, this fucking deck just made me hate zombie decks, or at least most zombie decks anyway, because I do like vampires. I think Skull Servants are cool. I don't really have beef with Shiranuri's or Vendreads, and Mayakashis on their own I don't mind, unless of course it's running Bone Tower, in which case it's Bone Tower dog deck. Okay, so maybe I'm being a bit harsh here, so let me rephrase that. Like, Zombie Horde is the only zombie deck that I hate with a fucking passion. Like, it's just basically one of the most annoying lockdown / stun decks in the game. Like using Boulder Rock, Zombie World, and Rivalry of the Warlords to stop anyone from being able to play. Like, Rivalry on its own, like, I don't generally mind. It's not really a floodgate that bothers me that much, since almost every deck I play is based on one monster type, but when combined with Zombie World and Boulder Rock, it's a problem. Like, Zombie World is just infuriating as well, turning everything into zombies. In fact, even Zombie World by itself just makes this deck a bad matchup for my Magician Girl deck, because nothing is a spellcaster. Like, I can't send Blue Boy or any spellcaster on the field away with Spellbook of Knowledge. I can't activate Chocolate Magician Girl's second effect, because guess what? There's no spellcasters in grave. I don't even know why I didn't put Zombie World on my list of hated spells, but Balderok is the absolute worst. Like, it's one of the most infuriating boss monsters in the game, just shutting down half my deck, or just banishing something on the field without targeting. Or is it just monsters it banishes? Oh yeah, it just banishes a monster on the field or engrave. And I hate that that doesn't even target. Like, this is something that pisses me off about decks like cards like this, saying like shuffle one card into the deck or banish one monster, and not saying it targets. Like, I just don't think they should work like that. Because if it's specifically affecting one monster, it should target. Like, do you not think? I mean, I know Mech Knight Crusadia Avramax, one of my favourite Cyburst monsters, has an effect that lets it shuffle a card on the field into the deck without targeting, but even I don't think it should work like that. Yeah, you could argue that it is a way to get rid of monsters with targeting immunity, which is a good point, but at the same time it's just kind of infuriating. And then there's the fact that it never goes away, like, as long as there's a field spell in play. Like, even if I destroy it, it just comes right back on the following turn. But in defense mode, though, Zombie Horde just seems to only exist just to piss everyone off. Like, at the very least, I wish Balderok didn't exist. Number 12, Mutants. Now, this is another one which does seem a bit random, but yeah, Mutants are so infuriating. Like, it plays too many negates and too many cheap shot banish cards. Like, what have we got? We've got, it runs Dimensional Shifter, Defissure, and Macro, which just cuts off my graveyard, which is just annoying because I need my graveyard to be able to play. It has ways to make Hope Harbinger one of my most hated Xyzes, and their boss monster just negates everything, which pisses me off. Sure, it does have to banish the same kind of card, but just like Mechaba, but that means nothing, since there seems to be a good balance of spells and traps available. Either way, it's just near impossible to beat and overcome. Sure, I've only played against it twice, but twice is enough. Like, I can't stand this deck. Like, what's the point in playing against it if I can't play? Like, by having my deck locked down and my graveyard just locked out. Like, it's just a load of bullshit. Like, they're just not fun to play against. That's all there is to it. Number 11, Pendulum Magicians. Yep, this was going to come up sooner or later. I've brought this up before, but yeah, I hate Pendulum Magicians because it does nothing but OTK and lock my deck down with a board of negates, including one of my arch nemesis monsters, Odd Eye's Vortex Dragon. And of course, it uses Time Pendulum Graph to disrupt my plays as well. It's a deck that's just been a thorn in my side for about 5 years now. even though it hasn't been seen a lot lately, but yeah, sure, it's had several hits on the banned list, but no matter what hits are done to it, it never makes a difference, because it's still able to find a way to just game me in one turn, or drop a board of negates and just stop me from playing the game. And like I said earlier, it's a reason why, for one of the reasons why I quit tournaments. Like, that's how fed up of this deck I was. Again, it's like, well, what's even the point in playing against it if it just does things that stop me from playing? It's just a pointless waste of time. Yeah, that's all there is to it, really. Like, there's nothing I can say about Pendulum Magicians that I haven't said already. I mean, yeah, I play some Pendulum Magician monsters myself in my Highlander Yuya deck, my Odd Eyes Dimension Dragon deck, and my Supreme King deck, but they're completely different decks. Like, I just use them because they're part of the archetypes. Like, they're Yuya's monsters, and I just use them to bring out Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon and other cool monsters. Whereas, yeah, same for my Odd Eyes Dimension Dragon deck. Actually, do I play them in? I don't actually know if I play them in my Odd Eyes Dimension Dragon deck. I can't remember, but even if I do, there's not that many. But even then, I don't use them for OTK purposes. Like, same with my Supreme King deck. Like, I literally only use them to build up to Zark. Like, that's it. Or if not them, then Clearwing and Dark Rebellion. Like, I don't use them for anything else. And yeah, that's basically it, really. And that's it for this part. Stay tuned for the the sixth and final part, when I cover my top 10 hated decks. Stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Richician YouTube channel.